Greetings, everybody. It is Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft coming at you. Stay a while and listen to this one. It's going to be a goodie, I bet. It's called The Vanishing of Aegwynn. This is 600 years before the Dark Portal. And just like I said, I peaked. After this, we're going to jump forward a few hundred years, so we are getting so close. We left off with a little side story of Lulong and what the Pandaren have been doing. We can't just forget about an entire continent, even though the rest of the world was able to do that for 10,000 years, basically. And nothing is said about that. They just kind of lived and did their thing. Mantid, yeah, they were a pain. Okay, so Aegwynn has a piece of Sargeras lurking inside her that she's unaware of. She's already kind of had a fussy attitude toward authority and did her own thing. And let's see what happens to her. After their battle in Northrend, Sargeras began twisting Aegwynn's thoughts. He pushed her to isolate herself from the Council of Tristful, drawing on concerns that she had always harbored about the Order. Chief among these concerns was something Aegwynn had recently discovered. The Council of Tristful's members were interfering in the politics of human nations. The Magi argued that what they were doing was necessary. Their order had stayed in the shadows for too long. With their knowledge and wisdom, they had the power to prevent war and suffering in the mortal world. And maybe there's something to that, because there's not a lot of war going on between these various factions, even though they're independent. Aegwynn, however, viewed the Council's shadowy activities with skepticism and unease. She feared that if she stepped down, they would choose a weaker guardian, someone they could use to pursue their political agendas. Thus, Aegwynn decided to stay on as guardian past her first century of service. She used her powers to extend her own life for decades longer than what would have been otherwise possible. Though some members of the council were displeased with Aegwynn's choice, they accepted her decision. After all, she had performed incredible feats during her time as the guardian. I guess defeating the avatar of Sargeras buys you a little bit of leeway. Over the next 100 years, Aegwynn's relationship with the council became more and more strained. Sargeras' subtle influence made her ever more paranoid about her fellow Magi. Her growing unease led her to construct a refuge far from the eyes of the council. Within the barren and remote Deadwind Pass, she forged the grand tower known as Karazhan. Karazhan? I don't know. Karazhan. Its whereabouts would remain a secret from the council for many years, and it is the site of a couple pretty cool raids. I believe there's a classic raid. Maybe not classic. Maybe the first one rears its head in Burning Crusade. But then I think there's a second one later on that comes in. I don't remember. And I know Legion ties into it. So it gets kind of tied into. But what's interesting is Deadwind Pass is otherwise like a dead zone. It's the tiniest zone. It's like the Rhode Island of World of Warcraft. And it's just useless. Except for containing a handful of quests in that one zone. I don't even know if you need it for Explorer. Probably you do, World Explorer, but you do not need it for Lore Master because there's not enough quests. Okay. Aegwynn would often retreat to Karazhan to work in peace and quiet, yet the tower also served another vital purpose. It acted as a conduit for the potent ley lines in the surrounding region, through which Aegwynn could siphon power when needed. In time, the aging members of the council began passing away. Their power is still held in Aegwynn's grasp. New sorcerers arose to join the order. They continued the council's practice of interfering with the nations of the eastern kingdoms. Many of these new members also pushed for a more hardline approach to deal with the wayward guardian and force her to relinquish her powers. And I wonder how that would even affect them, and how it would affect her to have the people whose power she had dying. How does that all work? During one of Aegwynn's rare visits to Dalaran, the council demanded that she step down as guardian or face immediate consequences. Aegwynn balked at their threat. Her distrust of the council had now shifted to outright hostility. She told the Magi that putting the fate of Azeroth in their hands was tantamount to dooming the world. I also don't... One, what are they going to do? She defeated the avatar of Sargeras. What could they possibly do to her? And two, how is... I don't know. If she's not doing her job, they must want to use her. So even though she's paranoid, there's also probably a little bit of truth. I feel like this is a story that could be rife for a greater story. This is rich material, and I don't think we quite have one again unless Last Guardian touches on some of this. Furious with Aegwynn's behavior, the council members agreed among themselves to take action. If the Guardian would not give up her powers voluntarily, they would force her to do so. The council long debated how best to accomplish this. Some members proposed empowering a new Guardian, but this idea presented too many dangerous possibilities. If Aegwynn and another Guardian were to do battle, the results could be disastrous for the world. Yeah, it'd be like Clash of the Titans. Of even greater concern was that such a conflict would call public attention to their clandestine order. Also, what happens if Aegwynn wins? And like we haven't explored what happens if a Guardian. Actually, they did say some Guardians died in the course of duty, I believe. So, and again, I believe in one of the episodes we've recently done that they briefly talked about that. But would they be able to make another one? I guess they would. Ultimately, the council agreed upon a more subtle course of action. They formed the Tirisgarde, an order of magi girded with relics and armaments that could diminish the Guardian's incredible powers. After years of training, these resourceful and gifted hunters set out to find Aegwynn and bring her back to Dalaran. Terrible idea. The one thing that is stopping the Burning Legion, you create a set of weapons that could be used to weaken that thing. Jeez, come on, that's just dumb. You're creating the tech that the enemy can now use against you. So stupid. The Guardian eluded many of the Tirisgarde with ease. However, the hunters did succeed in finding Karazhan and reporting its location back to the council. With Karazhan no longer safe, Aegwynn magically sealed off the tower from outsiders. She then set out to locate a new refuge, one that neither the council nor the Tirisgarde would ever find. After much consideration, she decided to build this stronghold in the ruins of ancient Suramar deep beneath the sea. Her dwelling, the Guardian's Sanctum, would stay hidden from the Tirisgarde for centuries. Oh, and right next to her bay, the rotting avatar corpse of Sargeras. So she's being manipulated as well. Although, I mean, I gotta say, as of right now, you can tell these subtle things. Maybe she could have been more diplomatic. And that choice, being right next to his body. Those are some weak ones. But yeah, the Tirisgarde there, that also seems like a bad idea. All right, everybody, another episode in Pipes 5x5. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft.